Hi everyone, I'm Russ, and I'm going to predict every single thing I think we're going to hear in the Nintendo Direct that's happening on September 12th, 2025. It's going to be such a crazy presentation. I don't even know what I'm going to do with myself, aside from watch it, of course. In this video, I wanted to actually predict everything I think we're going to see, some possibilities, some potentially new games from third parties, obviously first parties, games we know about, maybe some release dates, and of course, Mario's 40th anniversary, which is of course happening on September 13th. We all know this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I know I do. And I think they're going to take a large section of this direct that's happening and use it to spotlight Mario's 40th anniversary, whether that's like remakes, new games, DLC, Switch 2 editions, all that stuff. So we're going to go over this full direct. I'm going to give you my presentation. I meant my predictions, not my presentation. I'll give you my presentation about my predictions. The big thing is the fact that it's going to be 60 minutes long. Holy smokes, now that's a long time. Hopefully I don't drink a lot of water before it starts, because I don't know if I'd even be able to last that long. 60 minutes is crazy. That is the longest Nintendo Direct we've ever had that doesn't include the Switch 2 console. That's right, because the Switch 2 console Direct, that was 60 minutes, but most of it, or a large portion of it at least, was talking about the Switch 2 hardware. So now we're just talking about games that we know of. Most of this is going to be talking about games, so this is the longest third party, or the longest game focused Nintendo Direct that we've ever gotten, which is just insane. But it also is kind of crazy at the same time, because not even 2 months ago we had a partner showcase, and last month we had a indie presentation. So there's so much that they have to include that doesn't even involve a lot of the heavy hitting third party developers and indie developers. Like, I'm assuming a lot of what we're going to hear is about first party Nintendo games. Obviously we're going to go over some of the big third party ports that we'll probably hear about. But other than that, I mean, let's just get cracking. First of all, we got to talk about the obvious stuff. Metroid Prime 4. We're going to get a release date. I'm calling it. I put money on this. We're going to get a big hype trailer, and at the end they're going to share the release date. Now, I do think they're going to show off like one thing about this that makes it stand out to a crazy degree, like more than anyone could have expected. Maybe that's an online multiplayer. Maybe that's local co-op. I doubt local co-op, but something crazy like that. I'm going to guess. I'm going to put my money on, even though I'm not betting. I think it would be online co-op, which would be absolutely insane. I don't expect that, especially for the price, but I mean, I think we're going to get a release date, Metroid Prime 4. And you know what? I'm going to be crazy here. I think it's actually going to be announced and released in late September. There we go. Some people have said that it could be shadow dropped, because, Metroid Prime remastered on the Nintendo Switch was just shadow dropped digitally, and then a few weeks later got a physical release. But I think that Metroid Prime 4 needs a little more time to cook in our eyes, and late September, I know that's kind of crazy, but it's just something silly that they would do. And if not late September, then definitely late October. At the latest, I feel like late October would be it. It actually kind of fit perfectly with like the holiday season, or the Halloween season, I should say. I mean, just think about it. Luigi's Mansion 3 came out back literally on Halloween. So I mean, they are looking at them. I think they could do Metroid Prime for late October. It might be a little bit packed with Pokemon coming out just 2 weeks earlier on October 16th, but I mean, Metroid Prime 4, it's gotta happen. And I'm assuming it has to be at the end of October. I can't imagine them pushing it all the way to next November, like the end of November, because Kirby is a little bit earlier than that, on November 20th. But so I'm gonna say either at the end of September or the end of October. I think probably October is a little more likely, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was at the end of September. That would be crazy. That would be insane, but I think it's gonna happen. Some more obvious stuff. I think we're gonna see some more information on Kirby Air Riders. Now, I know that they just did a full 45-minute presentation less than a month ago, but I mean, like, what we saw cannot be all that there was. There's gotta be a little bit more for a $70 game. There's gotta be a little tiny bit more. I mean, and they also teased story mode at the end of the presentation, which makes me think, hey, there's gonna be a story mode or something. I don't know if it is a story mode, but there was a bad boss at the end, so there's gotta be something else that they haven't shown us yet. There's also like this top-down mode that was in the original Kirby Air Riders game that wasn't shown off here. Maybe they could add some more little mini games like that. I don't know what they would add, but there's gotta be more, because $70 game and they've only showed off 2 modes, which is the basic racing and city trial. Like, they have to show off more. Now, the only other first-party game that we kind of know of from Nintendo are Hyrule Warriors and Pokemon. Now, Hyrule Warriors, I think we're also gonna probably get a release date for that one. We'll finally know if it's coming out 2025 or 2026. I'm gonna say probably early 2026, because I feel like they would have said it was coming out in winter 2025 or 2025, but no, they said winter, because I don't know if they actually even knew when this was going to be slotted into. Like, I feel like this is probably going to be early 2026. Oh, well, it's got to be. It's winter. It's winter. So I mean January, February. That's when that's gonna come out. I'm not a huge Hyrule Warriors fan, but I am a huge person who wants to know more about Hyrule Warriors. So I think that's when it's gonna come out. But we'll get it confirmed Nintendo Direct as well. Now, what about Pokemon? We gotta hear more about Pokemon, right? Well, I actually don't think that we do. They might mention it just to kind of get it out there again. It's gonna be a big marketing stunt, I guess, to have it in a Nintendo Direct because millions of people watch these presentations. So I think they're gonna talk about it. They might show off a few new Pokemon that we haven't seen already, but I don't think they're gonna share any more information about the game that we don't already know. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. I want to see more about it. The demo that I played was kind of underwhelming, and I played it on my main channel. You can go check that out. Russ Vandy, by the way. Oh yeah, this is Russ Vandy. I don't normally do these videos, but I feel like I just had to do it for this one. But yeah, when I played the Pokemon Legends ZA demo, I just wasn't like, I just wasn't that hooked. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't really love it. It felt very janky, too much like a Switch 1 game, even though I was playing the Switch 2 version, and I don't know, it wasn't that good. But also, you can't experience the full demo in 15 minutes. It's just not possible. Some more obvious stuff, we're probably going to hear more about third-party game. Final Fantasy VII. Holy smokes. That one doesn't actually even have a release date, but it's got to be done. I played it at PAX West as well. It was a good video game. And it looked so good. Like, it's got to be done. I can't imagine it's not done. And we saw it in the April Nintendo Direct when they first showed it off. So, I mean, come on, it's got to be close. And apparently, and we know that it's coming out this year. My assumption is that it's probably going to come out this month, maybe early October as well. But it's got to be soon. We've got to hear release date for that. And another game we got to hear release date for is Elden Ring. Now, the game's been a little bit quirky. There's been a lot of weird speculations, or I guess discussions would be the proper wording for that this game just doesn't look done or polished on the Switch 2. People say that there's lots of frame rate issues, that, it just doesn't run that good or look that good. But you know what? I think it's completely playable. I've actually played 2 demos, one at Fan Expo in Toronto and also at PAX West. I think it was fine. It wasn't horrible. It's just fine. But I think we're going to hear more about the release date and everything surrounding Elden Ring as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's pretty much all of the super obvious stuff. Like, they have to tell us all of that information about all these games. But now we're going to get a little more quirky with it. We're gonna start going off into the deep end and start talking about some obscure possibilities that could be here and what could not be here. Something that could be here, for some reason I just have a bad feeling about, is Tomodachi Life. Now, we heard about this back in March, and I freaked out like a little baby. Tomodachi Life, I love it. And the fact that they're making a brand new game makes me so happy to my core. I am so excited for this game. And I think that there's just so much that they could do to this. And that includes bringing it to the Nintendo Switch 2. Obviously, they're going to have a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of this, but I think that they're going to finally show it off in this Direct, or at least I'm hoping so. And there's lots of potential for Tomodachi Life on the Switch 2, more than the Switch 1. I mean, think about it. Maybe we bring back that feature where you can take a picture of yourself with the camera, now that we have the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, and it'll scan your face and it'll make a me. I'm sure it won't be good, but there's a possibility to have that. I think that's a very useful way to use the camera. If you're going to use the camera in any game, let's bring it back for Tomodachi Life. I think we might actually see the island fully explained, things that you can't do, some customizations you can have to your me, what they're bringing back from previous games, how relationships could possibly work in this game. There's a lot of potential, and there's a lot they could do for Tomodachi Life. In fact, Tomodachi Life is so popular everywhere. I think it has more likes on Twitter or X than even the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal in both Japan and North America. Like, more people are excited about Tomodachi Life than people are excited of the Switch 2. Like, this game is going to be absolutely massive. So I just can't imagine they're not going to talk about it, but I feel like it's such a Nintendo thing to do that they just don't even mention it at all, and then we don't hear about it until late 2026. We know it's coming out in 2026, apparently, but Tomodachi Life, I'm so hyped for the game that I don't want to get my hopes up and then it not come out in 2026. I just feel like this game would be perfect for summer 2026, which means that they don't even need to bring it up until maybe February. You know what I'm saying? I could literally talk about Tomodachi Life for hours on end, but I think that the likelihood of it being in this presentation is like 50-50. I know it seems so obvious, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. Now, speaking of games that were announced in March from a first party perspective, was Rhythm Heaven. They showed off Rhythm Heaven Groove for the Nintendo Switch 1 as well. Oh yeah, Tomodachi Life is also coming out on the Switch 1. Yeah, we're also probably gonna hear a lot about Switch 1 games during this presentation, but I'm gonna say probably mostly Switch 2. I hope. everything is playable on Switch 2 anyways, but I think a good portion of this Direct will be showing off games that are also coming to the Switch 1. Rhythm Heaven. This one I feel a little more confident about than Tomodachi Life because it has a lot less stakes. I think that more people are probably more not interested, but I don't even know how to say it. Rhythm Heaven, there's just a lot less stakes than Tomodachi Life. It doesn't need to be as good. It doesn't need to be as polished. I don't even know if this is going to get a physical release. I hope it does, but the last 3DS game didn't, so who knows? This might be such a small release that this would come out early 2026, and then they just drop it. This could be another one of the Dragon Drive games or the Welcome Tour games where maybe it's even only $20-$30. Rhythm Heaven just seems like a lot of I don't even know the word, not low quality, but low effort games. Like, it's going to be good. I just can't imagine that they're going to be spending too much time on this game, especially in this presentation, whereas with Tomodachi Life, they probably would spend a couple minutes with it, I hope. Rhythm Heaven probably will also get a Switch 2 edition, maybe 120 hertz. That would be crazy for a rhythm game, but also they'd show off a couple new modes, so maybe some returning tracks or levels from previous Rhythm Heaven games. That would be fun. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say about Rhythm Heaven aside from I think that we're probably gonna get a release date for this one as well. I'm gonna assume. And then next we got some of the unreleased. We've already talked about all the released games. I think we got to start talking about some announcements because they're not gonna go this whole presentation without announcing some games. So let's talk about some obscure but possible announcements. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna rip the band-aid off. What about Super Smash Bros? What about it? I think there's an actual possibility. This is the same thing with Tomodachi Life where I don't want to get my hopes up. I'm expecting there not to be Super Smash Bros, but I feel like there's got to be one more massive game. We've already got Mario Kart, and I think they got to start giving us some more hype cycle games. And I feel like Smash Bros is such a perfect game that will get people hyped throughout for a few years with DLC. And I think that this is just a perfect time to show off Super Smash Bros. Again, I feel like they would probably wait until next year. It's more likely next year. If they don't show it off in this Nintendo Direct, it'll probably be in the next Nintendo Direct. But I think that there is a possibility. Now, some people think that there's a deluxe Super Smash Bros. Ultimate port or an Ultimate Switch 2 edition. I really hope that's not the case. I mean, we've been playing Smash Bros. Since 2018. I'm kind of done with it. There's been no new DLC that's been out for a couple years. I think I'm ready to just get a new Smash Bros. And then a lot of people would probably argue against it because Sakurai is working on a Kirby Air Riders. But I actually don't think that Sakurai is going to be working on this one. I know it's kind of crazy, but I don't think he's gonna be here. He might help with some things. I definitely think his name is going to be in the credits, but I don't think he's going to be a big part of the Smash Bros. This time around, which it's going to be different, but I'm looking forward to it. I think we need a new fresh Super Smash Bros. I have a feeling that this one's probably going to not be as good as Ultimate because Ultimate is literally the Ultimate version. I think the roster's probably going to be cut in half, but I'm really excited to see what they do with this one. Hopefully they don't get too quirky with it like they kind of did with Mario Kart World to make all of them, I'll make all the tracks in an open world and you got to go to one track to another track, and then, a lot of people just hate the fact that it's open world because so much of the gameplay is just driving on highways. Is Super Smash Bros? I feel like that's a little more difficult to do, but I don't know. I got a feeling that maybe this one won't hit as hard. I do think that it's a possibility. I know I'm rambling about Super Smash Bros, but I think it's possible. It's been long enough since Smash Ultimate kind of wrapped up development, and I think it's just time, and they want at least one more new massive game to be on the platform, and that would be Super Smash Bros. Now, another one that might show up as well because it's kind of similar to Smash Bros, where it's one of those really massive games, is Animal Crossing. I think there is a potential for an Animal Crossing, but I think it's a lot less likely because Tomodachi Life is very similar to Animal Crossing. If you like Animal Crossing, chances are you probably like Tomodachi Life. I like Tomodachi Life as a series much better than Animal Crossing. So I think that they'll probably hold off on Animal Crossing until a year after Tomodachi Life comes out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did announce it because Nintendo is being really weird with scheduling their games. The fact that there's, Kirby Air Riders and Mario Kart, two racing games that came out in the same year, I don't think they even care. I don't think it matters. I don't even know if they're looking at this stuff, but Animal Crossing I think has been out of development even longer than Super Smash Bros. They maybe had development good updates for 2 years and then they just kind of stopped. And then they had that big DLC pack, and then that was about it from Animal Crossing. So I think the chance of Animal Crossing is a lot less likely than Super Smash Bros, or at least I hope so. But I do think it is, anything's possible. Nintendo is a bunch of goofballs, is what I've learned. Now, what about Luigi's Mansion? I know I kind of briefly talked about this earlier when I was talking about Metroid Prime 4. I don't think this is going to be here. However, it might actually be kind of around time that Luigi's Mansion gets released. I believe these games are made by Next Level Games, which are the same people who made Mario Strikers Battle League, which came out in 2022. So, I mean, it's been 3 years. I think they might be cooking up something. I don't know if Luigi's Mansion was probably going to come out this year, though, especially because they don't want to kind of intertwine Luigi with Mario's anniversary. So I'm going to say that Luigi's Mansion probably isn't going to happen this time. But I mean, honestly, like I said, Nintendo is a bunch of goofballs. So I wouldn't put it past them, but I just don't think it's the most likely. Now, the really odd ones, I think we're going to get one kind of like, what the heck? What are they doing this for? Like a really crazy one that no one saw coming, whether that be like a Kid Icarus remake, maybe from Kid Icarus Uprising. Although the controls up from the 3DS to the Switch 2 might make a little more sense now with the mouse mode, because if you don't know, Kid Icarus Uprising, it uses a lot of the touchscreen on the 3DS as controls, from what I've heard. So I think that it might make a little more sense on the Switch 2 because you can use the mouse mode. I think that is a pretty good and high likelihood chance, but again, it would probably be taken up by Sakurai because Sakurai made the game back on the 3DS. So I don't know. Maybe it's a possible. Maybe it wouldn't come out. Who knows? Again, these are really out there. Chances are these won't happen, but I gotta say them. Kid Icarus remake. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's a possibility. What about Punch Out? Again, I love Punch Out on the Wii. Actually, I don't know why I said again. I never said that once, but I did like Punch Out on the Wii. But it's one of those games where I feel like there would have already been a Switch release of this if they really cared to bring it, or even this game. I think has been it's been over 10 years since we've seen Punch Out. I don't even think that Little Mac's is going to be in the next Smash Bros. Unfortunately, I love the guy. I love him, but I think the likelihood of him being in this next one or a new Punch Out game being in this next direct is pretty low. Now, we also, before we move on to the Mario 40th anniversary section of the video, I do want to talk about big third-party games that could be brought to the Nintendo Switch 2 that we haven't seen any confirmation yet. You got games that we've seen lots of information of, lots of leaks. The fact that it's not on the Switch 2 or announced yet is kind of weird. I feel like these definitely should be on the Switch 2 already or announced, but I'm just gonna say them. Baldur's Gate 3, that was Game of the Year, I believe. I never actually played it, but apparently mouse mode would be a good fit. I'm not gonna talk too long about these because I really haven't played a lot of them, but I know that they're big games, so we just gotta mention them. Expedition 33, that was also a massive game that came out this year by a small indie team. So chances of them having a dev kit might not be very high because of how small their dev team is, but I gotta mention it because it's probably going to be one of the top games. It's going to be on the Game Awards list, I think. Again, I haven't played it, but I've heard lots of great things about that game. So I think there's a possibility that Expedition 33 comes to the Switch 2 or could be in this direct, and just depends on if they have dev kits or not. Nintendo's apparently was pretty high me when it comes with who got dev kits before the Switch 2 came out. What about any Microsoft releases? I mean, Microsoft has been putting their games on a lot more platforms recently. In fact, we even know that Indiana Jones is now going to be making it to the Switch 2. In fact, we might actually get Indiana Jones gameplay footage in this direct. We heard that it was coming to the Switch 2. We just haven't seen gameplay footage of it, and I think that this is probably a pretty high likelihood that we're going to get that in this. So I think from Microsoft, we'll also hear about Hi-Fi Rush, I hope. Maybe Forza Horizon as well, because that just made it to the PlayStation, and it sold really well on PlayStation. So, I mean, now that the Switch 2 can handle it, I think that we could see those games, especially Hi-Fi Rush and Forza. I mean, those ones just seem to be good games, and Hi-Fi Rush specifically, very Nintendo-y, if you know what I mean. Now, we could also see some first-person shooters like Marvel Rivals, if you want to call that a first-person shooter. I mean, it's a first-party game or first-person game. So I think Marvel Rivals, and also the fact that it's on last-generation consoles like PS. I mean, it's on Steam Deck, Xbox Series S. I think the chances of it coming to Switch 2 isn't a matter of the fact that I can't run it, but it's the fact that they just haven't been able to port it yet. So I definitely think Marvel Rivals will be in this presentation. And speaking of first-person games, would I be absolutely crazy if I said Call of Duty? I think we have a high likelihood of seeing this, especially because I believe Call of Duty still comes to last-gen console. So them putting this on the Switch 2 would go off. For some reason, I feel like they might not talk about it yet, but also at the same time, the Switch 2 is so perfect for Call of Duty. It might not look the prettiest, but the fact that the mouse mode is now an option, I mean, I'm just excited. The only other third-party game that I can think of. I don't know if I even said this or not, but Monster Hunter Wilds, Power Wash Simulator 2, those are really the only ones that I can think of that the potential to come to Switch. You can tell me in the comments what you think, but that's just what I think. That's my thought. Okay, now we got to get to the juicy stuff. Mario. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? Yoshi's Woolly World. We're probably gonna see Yoshi's Woolly World. If you didn't know, the Yoshi's Woolly World was accidentally leaked, brand new art in the Switch 2 presentation back in April, and then they just didn't mention it at all. I don't think that this is probably gonna come out this year, but I also wouldn't be surprised because I feel like this would definitely be coming to the Switch 1 as well. In fact, I think that's the section that it leaked in the presentation in April. I think they were talking about Switch 1 games being playable on Switch 2, and then they accidentally showed this game. So I think Yoshi's Woolly World has a high likelihood of coming out at some point this year, and if not, it'd be a padding. It'd be some sort of a pad in early next year in between Rhythm Heaven. I don't know. It'd be a smaller game, but of course they would charge $60 for this. You already know the drill. And actually, I don't even know if they would do I feel like they'd need to do a Switch 2 edition, but I don't know how they would sell that. Like Yoshi's Woolly World, I guess would be 4K 60 frames per second. I'm not sure, but I feel like that's there's a high likelihood that Yoshi's Woolly World will be shown off in this direct because the art and everything was ready for it, and someone made a whoopsie in the April presentation. That being said, I also think we're gonna get some more first-party, like obscure Nintendo first-party games. Maybe Xenoblade, some new Xenoblade game, maybe, or Fire Emblem. But that's about as crazy as I'm getting with those. Okay, we gotta talk about Mario now. We gotta talk about Mario because I think this is gonna be a large portion of the whole presentation. Probably the last 15 minutes or so. I believe when they did the 35th anniversary, I think that was like a 20-minute presentation. So I don't know, maybe we'll even see 20 minutes. First thing we gotta say about Mario, they're gonna show off a new 40th anniversary logo or some sort of like wacky clip of Mario saying, "Hey everyone, I'm 40." And I think honestly they're gonna talk about the Mario movie 2. They'll give us an official title, apparently based on patents or whatever from Universal. It's gonna be Super Mario Movie World or something. The Super Mario Movie World or Super Mario World the movie. I don't know. I hope that it's just Mario Movie 2. To be honest, I feel like World maybe might confuse people, but I mean it would make sense. Super Mario World was the first game that had Yoshi in it, I believe. So calling the Super Mario Movie World movie would, because Yoshi's gonna play a bigger role in this. If you've seen the Mario movie, at the end of the Mario movie, Yoshi's in it. I think that's probably a possibility. They showed off the cast of the Mario movie in a direct previously, which was a complete meme. I think they'll probably show off, maybe they'll show off the cast for who's playing Yoshi, who's playing Wario, because you better believe Wario's gonna be in this game. I'm calling it now. And honestly, I'm gonna say it, Waluigi as well. I know we all hate him. I mean, I love him, but a lot of people hate him. So yes, I think we're gonna hear some more information about the Mario movie. We might even get a quick, like a screenshot, maybe even like a 10-20 second teaser trailer. But I think we're definitely gonna hear about the Mario movie. Maybe the guy from Universal is gonna come out and say, "Hey, I'm the guy, I like the minions, and this is Mario." We could hear maybe some of that. But I think they're also going to show off a remake. We don't really have any remakes on the list so far, but last year they ham with some remakes. We had the 1,000-Year Door, we had Super Mario RPG, which was technically the year before that. But I mean, they usually do one remake a year, so I wouldn't be surprised if they show that off here, and it even gets a late 2025 release date just to hit that holiday season. Even though Pokemon and Kirby are gonna get that holiday season release, I feel like a Mario game in the first holiday of the Nintendo Switch 2, I feel like they gotta have some sort of Mario later in the year. I mean, I guess they have Mario Kart World for those first-time Switch buyers, but I wouldn't be surprised if they at least announced a remake. Now, I've been hearing so many people say, "Oh, Mario Galaxy, it's gotta be Mario Galaxy 2 or a remake of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 or a bundle." Yeah, probably. I'm hoping 3D Land, to be honest. I kind of want to replay 3D Land Galaxy for the 35th anniversary, but if they just went ham and fully remade Galaxy and Galaxy 2 with new graphics, new assets, textures, I think that would actually be so crazy, and it would definitely make a lot of people be a little less salty that Donkey Kong took the 3D Mario spot this year, or I guess this generation. I think that's a pretty high likelihood, and I think, speaking of that, I think it could even be shadow dropped. Oh yeah, I said it. So as we know, the direct is actually on the 12th, but the anniversary is on the 13th, which is actually in some parts of the world the 13th that the direct actually is. So I think in Japan it's already the 13th when the presentation is going on. I wouldn't be surprised if they announced and released released a Mario game on Friday. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Now, it could be other things that I'm gonna touch on pretty soon, but I wouldn't be surprised if a remake was shadow dropped. It's a little less likely than some other things I'm gonna bring up, but I think a remake is going to get announced in some regard. Now, we also gotta be a bunch of weird guys, and we gotta talk about sports games. I know I don't look like I play sports games or I like sports, which I mean I don't, but sports games. And I know that you also can't see me, but I mean there's lots of pictures of me online, so you can just look up Russ Vandy. I'll be there. I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyways, I think there's gonna be a new sports game that gets released. The last Mario sports game, I think it was Mario Golf, and that was was that 2021 or 2022? I think Camelot made that game, and they're due for a new game. I feel like the most obvious one would be Mario Baseball, because they haven't had a Mario Baseball like Mario Sluggers in a long time, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they just recircled back to like tennis or maybe even a Mario Sports Mix. I hope they don't do Mario Sports Mix. Those games never do good for them, and they just don't. I hope that they learned from the last few, but I probably Sluggers would be the one that's coming out next, because it's been so long, and that would most likely be released in 2026, and probably in the summer. Mario sports games come out in the summer, from my recollection at least. I also think, based on the Mario 40th anniversary, we'll probably get some Mario Kart DLC. We need some Mario Kart World DLC. It boggles my mind why Nintendo would release an $80 game. Already feels a little kind of naked. There's not much content for the price, at least in comparison to other $60 and $60 and $70 games. We know that from Doug Bowser, the GOAT Doug Bowser. He said that based on the long-term playability of this game, that's why it cost $80. And to me, that means that they're bringing DLC to this game, and they're going to be supporting this with new tracks, new characters, costumes, all that in the foreseeable future. So again, it just kind of boggles my mind why they wouldn't at least give us some sort of a plan or some information on how often they'll be giving us some DLC or stuff like that. I'm surprised that they didn't launch the game and then say, hey, by the way, next month we're gonna be dropping some Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC. I'm surprised they haven't dropped Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC. Donkey Kong only has 2 costumes, as well as Pauline, and we don't have any Diddy Kong, and they just care. I feel like characters in Donkey Kong Bonanza should be in Mario Kart. They haven't shown that off. I feel like probably Donkey Kong Bonanza and some new Mario Kart World DLC will be added in to the game somehow. And honestly, I hope that they add some other obscure Nintendo stuff, but they're probably not going to do that yet. It's Mario's anniversary. They'll probably do some other random Mario characters, and Donkey Kong Bonanza we're probably going to see as DLC as well. So I think Mario Kart World DLC it has to be here. It has to be here. If it's not, I'm going to riot. And talking about DLC, we also got to talk about some Switch 2 editions. I think only one new Switch 2 edition is going to be shown off. Probably going to be Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I hope, because that game is so good. And the fact that it hasn't been shown off as a Nintendo Switch 2 edition already kind of blows my mind. Easily resell this game on Switch 2. And they show it off in a lot of promotional art for the Switch 2 itself. When you go into HDR mode and you got to set the colors on your TV, if you have an HDR TV, it shows a Mario Wonder screenshot, which is just kind of weird because it's a Switch 1 game, but we're setting up a Switch 2 feature. So I don't know why it's Mario Wonder. I got a feeling that Mario Wonder is going to get a Switch 2 edition. I even think that it's going to get a Switch 2 edition before something like Mario Maker 3 or Mario Maker 2. A lot of people think that Mario Maker 2 should have a mouse mode, and I completely agree that it should, but I feel like Mario Maker 3 would come out before Mario Maker 2 Switch 2 edition comes out, because I think they're done with Mario Maker 2. Completely remake a brand new Mario Maker 3, especially utilizing the brand new Switch 2's power, maybe even add a 3D mode in Mario Maker 3. But I don't think we're going to hear about Mario Maker 3 for another year or so. Maybe that'll be the holiday game next year. I mean, I believe Mario Maker 1 was the 30th anniversary game for Mario. So, I mean, it would be a little poetic to have it to be the third game to be the 40th anniversary one, but I just feel like if we're going to do Switch 2 editions, it's got to be on the 2D Super Mario Bros. Game. I think that's probably the best case scenario, and I hope, because I love Mario Wonder, and seeing those graphics in 4K would get me so excited to play it again. And finally, of the Mario speak, we're probably going to hear a new Mario game. If there's no Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition in this presentation, I think that they're probably just going to announce a brand new 2D Mario game. Maybe Mario Wonder 2, because those games feel like they would be a lot easier to make than full-blown 3D Mario game. And speaking of 3D Mario game, maybe they'll announce one, but it's so close to Donkey Kong Bonanza that I'm not. I doubt it. I doubt it's gonna be here. And that would be peak, but I think it's just a little too soon from Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is the main 3D Mario team. Unless they were really going ham on 2 3D Nintendo games at the same time, like working on Donkey Kong and a new 3D Mario game at the same time, or maybe there's a full different developer for this 3D Mario game. I just don't think it's gonna be here. I think they wanted to just revamp the Donkey Kong brand with Donkey Kong Bonanza, and then they're gonna wait. I think there is going to be a new 3D Mario game, but probably not this year, or honestly even next year. I think 2027, maybe 2028 is when we're gonna see the next 3D Mario game. And yeah, I think that's about all my prediction. We might hear some more, NSO updates. Hopefully some more GameCube games get shown off. Oh, and I also think they're gonna do something really quirky with Mario again. Maybe they'll do Mario 40. If you don't remember, they did a Mario 35 where you play the original Super Mario Bros against 34 other people, and enemy you hit attacks another player or something like that. I don't actually think I ever played it, but that's what it was. Maybe they'll just bring that back and you play against 39 other players. So something quirky like that. I definitely think there's going to be a big shadow drop. We're going to hear a lot of announcements, a lot of release dates, and oh my gosh, I also completely forgot about Splatoon Raiders. Yeah, we're going to probably hear about Splatoon Raiders. We're going to get some release dates for it, I hope. I don't think they actually said if it was coming out in 2025 or 2026, but I'm going to assume probably 2026. There's a brand new single-player game from Splatoon, so I think we're going to see it. I don't know when it's going to be released, but we'll definitely hear about it. I hope. Yeah, it's going to be a good Direct. And the fact that I just talked for 43 minutes about a Nintendo Direct, I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope I'm right about a lot of these things, especially I hope that Tomodachi Life is coming. I love Tomodachi Life. So hey, if you like these videos, consider liking and subscribing to this channel. Let's try to get to 1,000 subscribers. And obviously this isn't my main channel. I got a main channel, Russ Vandy. It'll be in the description. It'll be a good time. And all right, have a good one. I love you.